You know, some stories don't just scare you. They get under your skin and just stay there. And Susan Hill's The Woman in Black is absolutely one of those stories. It is a masterclass in atmosphere and dread and the kind of quiet horror that is so much more terrifying than any cheap jump scare. So what makes this classic ghost story really tick? Well, let's pull it apart and see.
It all starts right here. I mean, just look at this cover. The fog-choked woods, that shadowy figure you can barely even see in the distance, and that tagline says it all. Some places never let you go. From the very first glance, it's telling you this is a story about being trapped, not just in a place, but by a memory.
And here we have it, from the man himself, our narrator Arthur Kipps, confirming that exact fear years later. This one quote, it frames the entire story. See, this isn't some spooky tale he's telling for fun around a campfire. This is the defining, traumatic event of his entire life, a past that he can never, ever truly escape.
So where does a story this dark and bleak even begin? Well, ironically, on Christmas Eve. The whole thing we're about to hear is actually a story within a story. And that structure immediately tells us this isn't a simple scare. It's a deep trauma, being unwillingly dragged back into the light.
Just picture it. You've got a cozy fire, a happy family, and everyone's having some innocent fun telling ghost stories. But for Arthur, this game is not fun at all. As the stepkids are telling their silly, made-up tales, a real and much, much more terrible memory starts bubbling to the surface, something he has pushed down for decades. And this is the key moment. Arthur's story is different. He makes it crystal clear that what he went through, it wasn't a game, it wasn't a fantasy, it was real. And with that, he decides the only way he can possibly exorcise this ghost is to write it all down. And that decision takes us back in time, all the way back to where it started for a young Arthur Kipps. A seemingly simple assignment that becomes a journey into a literal and very metaphorical fog.
The story opens with this incredible description of what's called a London particular. Now, this isn't just weather, the book describes it as a physical presence. It's a filthy, evil-smelling fog that chokes and blinds. It's just a perfect metaphor for the blurred truths and moral confusion that Arthur is about to walk right into. So here's our guy, Arthur Kipps. He's young, he's sensible, he's an ambitious lawyer, not a ghost hunter, not some guy who's into the supernatural. And his mission seems totally mundane. All he has to do is travel to some remote town and attend the funeral of an elderly client, a Mrs. Drablow. Simple, right?
But here it is. The first little red flag. It's such a classic piece of British understatement. His boss doesn't say she was scary or weird, just a Raman. It's this cryptic little warning that just plants a tiny seed of unease about the woman whose affairs he's supposed to be settling. And the destination itself sounds like something straight out of a fairy tale, and not a good one. Eel Marsh House, the Nine Lives Causeway. I mean, these names are so strange they're almost allegorical. And the causeway, you can only cross it at low tide, which means the house is literally cut off from the world for hours at a time. The perfect setup for total isolation and terror. So Arthur travels north to this town, Crythan Gifford, for the funeral. And it's here, during what should be a somber but pretty ordinary event, that he gets his very first glimpse of the horror that's waiting for him. Before he even sees anything, he feels it. The second he mentions Mrs. Drablow's name, the townspeople just shut down. They get quiet, evasive, almost hostile. You can tell there's this conspiracy of silence, this shared fear that hangs over the entire town, and Arthur has just walked right into the middle of it. And then he sees her. At the very back of the church, there's this solitary figure. She's dressed in old-fashioned, severe black mourning clothes, but her face is what's truly shocking. It looks like she's suffering from some terrible wasting disease. Her skin is just stretched tight over her bones. But this is clearly not just a sick woman. Her expression is what gets him. It's this absolutely horrifying combination of emotions, a desperate, yearning malevolence. It's the look of someone who has lost absolutely everything and is just consumed by this hunger for revenge. After the funeral, Arthur finally makes his way to the story's main stage, the isolated and profoundly unsettling Eel Marsh House. And this duality, this is what gives the story so much of its power. On the one hand, Arthur is just stunned by its sheer, startling beauty, the wide open space, it's breathtaking. But at the exact same time, it's a place of extreme bleakness and deep, deep eeriness.
That beauty makes the place feel real, almost safe, which only makes the horror that's coming feel so much more violating. So he's exploring the grounds, and he comes across this ruined chapel and an old abandoned burial ground. And there she is again. But this time, the effect on him is physical. He isn't just unnerved, he is paralyzed by a primal bone-chilling fear, the likes of which he has never felt before in his life.
Shaken, Arthur decides, you know what? He's had enough for one day. He starts to walk back across the causeway. But, as he's about to find out, the haunting, it's only just beginning.
A sea mist just rolls in from the estuary, and the book calls it a damp, clinging, cobwebby thing. It isolates him completely, cutting him off from the house behind him and the mainland ahead. He's trapped. Lost in this mist, a sound breaks the silence, and it's a sound that should bring him an immense sense of relief.
It's the sound of the pony and trap that brought him to the house in the first place. It has to be Kekwik, the driver, coming to rescue him. He just stops, waits for that lantern to appear, ready to be guided back to safety.
But then, this chilling realization hits him. The sound isn't coming from the causeway path where it's supposed to be. It's coming from out on the marsh itself, out on the deadly sinking sands. He hears the pony's panicked whinny, the splintering of wood, and then a child's desperate, piercing scream that's just swallowed by the mud. And Arthur understands. He's hearing a ghostly replay, an echo of some terrible tragedy.
And this is the turning point. The haunting is no longer just some vague, creepy presence. It has a story, a specific and horrific one. Arthur isn't just a visitor anymore. He is now a witness. The ghost isn't just trying to scare him, she's forcing him to experience her own trauma. So the real question isn't just what haunts Eel Marsh, but why? What is the source of that desperate, yearning malevolence he saw in the church? And maybe more terrifyingly, why has it now fixed its gaze on him?